guys, and welcome back to an episode of Off the Shelf. I am your host, Ronan Time HD, and this week, what we found off the shelf was...
I shall kill him. Shouldn't you get out those wet clothes?
Try to be a little less than your usual frivolous self, 007.
I think you got the point. Lago had your brother murdered, or it was on his orders.
Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people will die, and very soon, if you don't help me.
Like your friend, you've been a little too clever, and now you are caught. You let him get the better of you. Do not live in hope, my dear. There is no one to rescue you.
He obviously has a highly developed sense of drama.
Thunderball, released in 1965, directed by Terence, based on the James Bond series, created from the mind of Fleming, starring, of course, Sean Connery as 007 James Bond. And I'm gonna say right now, I think this film is great, and but it's really dumb. In a good way. Like, the opening of the movie, I think if you watched, like, the first, 10 minutes of the movie, you'd understand what it's all about without needing any context. You're like, oh, okay, so this is the kind of movie I'm watching. It opens up with James Bond at his own funeral, and then he goes up to an old lady to give his condolences, and then he punches her in the face, to then take off a mask. It was a mask, and it's a dude pretending to be an old lady, and then he gets into a fight with a bunch of dudes, and then he goes onto, a balcony, and then he gets on a fucking jetpack and, flies away, and then he, just lands and drives away in a car, and it's the perfect tone setter for the fucking stupidest, batshit insane movie. And I honestly love it. I think this is the kind of campy, stupid action movies from this time period that I love, right? Because there's just a bunch of, I think what makes it funnier is the fact that, the stuff that made this movie funny back in the day isn't exactly why it's funny now, because it's just so... I guess it's cheesy, right? Because there's a point where James Bond will, murder a dude with a harpoon gun in cold blood, and then he'll just say, I think that guy got the point. And it's just so fucking stupid. But that's what I love about it. I think, it doesn't... I feel like it takes itself a little serious, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't. I feel like it knows what it is, right? And I think that's what I can appreciate about it. It's not too serious. It's not too goofy. It's kind of like a balance, to the point where you can enjoy the campiness without, you're laughing at the movie, but you're still enjoying the movie. I still think this is partly why the movie's so enjoyable, is because it's just fun, right? It's just a really fun spy movie. I think Sean Connery's just great, right? The way he just confidently says all these goofy one-liners. I think, he's kind of fucking 60s Batman. He's kind of a straight man and all this stupid, ridiculous bullshit, and that's what makes it funny, right? It's because he takes it all serious. He's, super serious. He says these stupid-ass one-liners with a straight face, and I think that's what makes it funnier, is because of how serious he's taking the role. And I think also, I really like how, if you didn't know, this is the introduction of Spectre, who are, if you don't know, the, main villains of the James Bond franchise. It introduces Blofeld, who is Bond's arch rival, his arch nemesis. Of course, this being his first film, they don't show his face. He's just kind of the man in the chair, petting his cat, just, planning everything behind the scenes. And one thing I like about Spectre is that they're just evil for the sake of it, right? They want $1 million. They just want a lot of money, right? Which, obviously, if you couldn't tell, when I was watching this movie, I'm like, man, Austin Powers isn't even really a parody, is it? It's just kind of like an old school spy. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's a parody, but, with how I kind of forgot how ridiculous these movies are. It's kind of on brand, honestly. Although it's cranked up to 11, I still think it's just like, it's a perfect representation of these kinds of movies. Because as I said, they don't really even have the only reason they want to fucking nuke Miami in this movie is because, well, we gotta have 100 million pounds, right? We gotta get the money. We have no ideological beliefs. We don't want like revolution or like anything. We just want money. We just want to fucking fuck shit up, murder people, and make bank. That is all we care about. And honestly, that's a fun, I think that's a fun motivation. Like, you don't always need super complex villains who are like, you know, deep and you can kind of understand where they're coming from. Sometimes you just want an evil machine villain, and an evil machine villain can be done right if the movie's like self-aware that they're just like a dumb evil machine villain. Because I mean, it's James Bond. Like, it's not that deep. It's just a fun spy movie. And I think another reason I like this movie is because also the action is ridiculous. Like, there's a whole, the climax of the movie is a fucking, like, firefight underwater with harpoon guns. And it just goes on and on and on with guys stabbing each other and ripping their masks off and throwing each other. And then sharks come in and they start shooting harpoons at the sharks. And it just gets fucking so stupid. And they just keep fighting and throwing each other around and stabbing each other and, like, shoving each other and, like, wrestling under the water. And it just looks so fucking dumb. And, like, James Bond occasionally will, like, help out one of the good guys, and he'll just go, and the other guy will go. It's just so fucking, I don't know. I think it's just, like, the actors in the movie have a lot of chemistry with each other, and I feel like they're having a lot of fun with the movie, and I think, I've said this before, when an actor is having fun in the movie, and you can tell that they're enjoying themselves, I think it's easier to enjoy the movie because their enjoyment kind of is infectious and is kind of resonates with the audience, and then they have fun. At least that's how I feel. And honestly, I just love that. I don't know. I just love how fun it is. I love how stupid it is. I don't know if there's that much to say about it. I mean, aside from, I do think it's kind of funny that when the book was written, Ian Fleming, he said that he wrote it, and he was like, oh, well, the Spectre was made as the main villains because, like, the original villains were, like, Soviet, like, caricature, like, stereotypical bad guys. But he thought that the Cold War is, like, you know, cooling down. I don't want to, like, throw shade at the Soviets anymore, so I'm just going to make big, evil, generic bad guys that don't believe in anything and just want money and are evil for the sake of it. And then the Bay of Pigs happened, like, a few months later, and then it picked up again, and it's like, well, you can't predict these things, but I still think that's kind of funny, just as a little tidbit. But I guess they created Spectre, which I guess him wrongfully assuming the Cold War was basically over created Spectre, which is cool, or interesting at the very least. So, if you didn't know, this film was wildly successful. I think to this day, it is still the second highest grossing Bond film, just under Skyfall. Which I think is fucking insane. This movie had a $9 million budget with a $144 million box office. And mind you, this is a 1965 $144 million. That is well over $1 billion in today's money. Which is fucking crazy. This movie was huge when it first came out. It was I think in the top 3 highest grossing movies of the year. But I think something that was interesting, when I looked at the reviews of the critics, maybe general audiences thought differently. Maybe they thought it was the coolest shit ever. But the critics were like, man, this movie was really funny. I really enjoyed it. I thought the fight scenes were ridiculous. I thought the underwater scenes were really funny. So it seems like even back then, like, it was still seen in, like, a lighter tone. They said it was more humorous than all the other James Bond movies, and they just thought it was fun, which I guess kind of makes it feel like it was always intended to be dumb, campy, and just, you laugh at this dumb movie while you have a good time kind of thing. Like, I think it was always meant to be that way, and I think maybe that's why it's so enjoyable, is because the movie's self-aware. The movie's not trying, as I said, it's not trying to be deep. It's just a dumb, fun action movie. And sometimes, some of the best action movies are just the movies where you can go, holy shit, that was fucking great, right? That was so fucking stupid. Those are some of my favorite action movies. Because when in an action movie, like, I don't know, a dude fights another dude with, like, they have a duel with bicycles or something. I love that. You know what I'm talking about. Like, that's fucking great. Just add stupid shit and make it seem serious, and I don't know, if it's done well, it can just fly in colors. But I'm rambling here. I do think it's just kind of interesting to think that maybe the common consensus of this movie hasn't really changed. I mean, maybe it's just, I guess, general audience's opinion on it may have changed. Again, those are critics. Maybe, general audiences, as I said, thought it was really cool. And with that being said, would I recommend this film? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's a really fun movie. I think you're a fan of spy thrillers. If you're a fan of just spy movies, action movies, I think it's a great time. If you're a fan of James Bond and you haven't seen this movie, if you're only, you've only seen, the more recent Daniel Craig ones, or, just, more recent ones, and you haven't seen the other ones, I think this is a great place to start. I mean, it introduces Spectre. It's a great introduction to Bond as a character. It introduces, Q, M, Moneypenny, all the, reoccurring side characters pretty well. I think that this is just a great entry-level James Bond movie if you want to get into the classics. With that being said, would I rate this film? I think I would rate this film a 7 out of 10. And, yeah, I think I've said it. I think I've said my piece. So, guys, I hope you like this video. Share it with your friends. Subscribe. Turn those notifications on. Comment down below on how much you liked it. And I've been Terence D. Off to figure out what the fuck Thunderball means and how it has any relation to this movie. If you know how Thunderball has any relation to what this movie is about, leave it down in the comments, because I'd love to know. So, I was doing some research on this movie, and I found a kind of funny story. So in the, scene that I mentioned earlier with the jetpack, they had shot those scenes with Sean Connery, going, lifting off and landing. Obviously, he didn't actually fly the jetpack. But they had shot those scenes in Paris, and then they had went to the Bahamas to, shoot the rest of the movie. But when they were going to, shoot, a stunt double, or, a double actually, flying the thing, he wanted to wear a helmet. And they were like, oh, but Sean Connery, he didn't wear a helmet. And they're like, well, yeah, I'm not fucking getting on this thing without a helmet, right? So then they had to get the whole crew back into Paris to shoot Sean Connery with a helmet, just so that those scenes wouldn't be jarring to, where he doesn't have a helmet, then when he's flying, he does have a helmet, and then when he lands, he doesn't have a helmet again. Although, that would be really fucking funny, I'm not gonna lie. It's so obvious that he has a body double. Although that seems more like comedy, parody type stuff. It'd still be funny, okay?